Now we have to be careful how we remove the old spokes, because if we just snip these spokes out with bolt cutters or side cutters, it will distort the hub and the rim potentially. So we need to loosen all the spokes off a couple of turns before we can actually cut them out. It's a fairly quick process, but it's important that you don't take the shortcut and just snip them out without loosening them first. With all the operations with rebuilding or truing or building wheels, we always use the valve hole as a starting and finishing point. That's the constant gauge that we use when we're building wheels. So I'm going to start at the valve hole and just loosen every spoke off 2 turns. And if you're just beginning to learn about building and truing wheels, this operation is good practice, because you get a bit of a feel for how tight the nipples are on a spoke when you loosen them off like this. And you can also get a bit of a gauge about how well built this wheel was in the first place. Now, everyone has their own method, but I always start with the nipple key in that position, and I just count, go around once to that same position, go around twice, start and finish like that. Everyone will have their own method of doing this. They might start there, they might start there, but as long as you're consistent throughout your wheel building, it doesn't really matter where you start, as long as you go around once, say like that, finish where you started, and then twice, and you count your number of turns, always starting and finishing in the same position. This operation could be done with an electric screwdriver, but with all the operations you see today in this clip, we'll be doing things manually without using electric screwdrivers or some of the special tools that are available, because we'll just cover the basic steps, and it's probably better to learn the basic way and then go on from there. Now we're almost back to the valve hole and the spoke's already loose. In actual fact, we don't really even need to go all the way back to the valve hole, but we will, because that's the right thing to do. But the important thing is that the spokes are loose enough to cut them out without distorting the rim or the hub. So we're back at the valve hole. The spokes are quite loose now, so we can safely cut them out. I use bolt cutters to do it quickly, and we cut the spokes at the second cross. It's a fairly brutal process. Just do this. If we did this without loosening the spokes first, the spokes will go off like a gunshot sometimes, and the rim will be distorted, and it would not be worth rebuilding the wheel. So we cut them out quite quickly. The last cross, that's done. That's what we end up with, a mess that looks like that. Now you have to be quite careful with the spokes. They are quite sharp on the ends. In this particular case, we don't really need to remove the spokes from this hub, because we're going to use a new hub, but we'll just demonstrate this. Probably the best way to dispose of it is to have it as a clean hub without the spokes, because they are quite dangerous. Now you'll notice that I've left the rim tape on this rim until now. It's just a safe precaution to leave the rim tape on, and then you can take it off at this point. Drop into the bin. Once again, being very careful, they are sharp on the ends.